Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I proudly rise and stand in the well of the Congress of the United States of America. And I rise today, Mr. Speaker, to address the question of the State of the Union. What is the State of the Union? Mr. Speaker, the State of the Union is one of devolution. Mr. Speaker, we are devolving into the normalization of inequality in a way that allows us to pass a $1.5 trillion giveaway that will reward the rich for being rich and punish the poor for being poor. We're devolving into hyper-partisan politics as evinced by the hijacking of a Supreme Court justice when Justice Gorsuch was appointed to the Supreme Court. We're evolving and devolving into the hijacking of justice itself, because we now find that there are those who believe that there is a deep state conspiracy within the Justice Department, that somehow there is this belief that the Justice Department should be assaulted and attacked, that it should be demeaned, that it should be discredited. We're devolving into, Mr. Speaker, the normalization of disqualifying bigotry, as evidenced by some of the statements that have come from the presidency. Statements that would normalize language such as there are some fine people among those who were bigots, racists, and persons perpetrating hate in Charlottesville, as evinced by the notion that we can allow people to say ugly things about other countries and, in a sense, develop a race-based immigration policy. Mr. Speaker, we are devolving into a society that recognizes a rising stock market as the acid test for everything, when in fact it is only proof that some people are doing better while many others are not. There is a devolution taking place. And I, Mr. Speaker, contend that there is a solution to this devolution. The solution is the impeachment of an unfit president. I yield back.
Members are reminded to